Our next story is a diplomatic mystery. It's been that way for months. The story of 8 Indian Navy veterans jailed in Qatar. Crime, unknown. Charges, unknown. But today we learned the verdict. Death penalty. That's right. 8 Indian veterans have been sentenced to death in Qatar. The Indian government says it is shocked. We have their statement. This is what they've said. We are awaiting the detailed judgment. We are in touch with the family members and the legal team. And we are exploring all legal options. We will also take up the verdict with Qatari authorities. That's what the Ministry of External Affairs has said. So what's the story here? How did these veterans end up in jail? And that too in Qatar. And why do we know so little about this case? Let's first build a timeline. These 8 veterans worked at a defense company. It's called Dara Global Technologies. It is owned by a retired squadron leader of Oman's Air Force. Now, this company had 2 websites, one before the arrest and the second one after the arrest. The old website says the company had deals with Qatar's Navy, but the new website does not mention this. I know it sounds fishy, but listen to the rest of the story. The 8 men were arrested on 30th August last year, August 30th, 2022. And that too at night. They were picked up by the State Security Bureau, which is Qatar's spy agency. The Indian embassy was not told about this arrest. Again, this is fishy. On September 30th, the veterans were allowed a phone call to their families. And then days later, the Indian embassy was looped in. On October 3rd, an Indian diplomat visited them. That's more than a month since the arrest. By the end of last year, another consular access was provided. And then this year, the trial began. The first hearing was on March 29th. This year, March 29th. The most recent seems to have been on October 3rd. The Indian government did confirm this. They also confirmed that a verdict was expected this month. Listen to this.
My understanding is that there was a last hearing, the 7th hearing, earlier this month. We are closely following the court proceedings in what is called the Court of First Instance. As I said, October 3rd was the 7th hearing. We understand that a judgment is expected, in fact, later this month. Earlier, our ambassador and our deputy chief of mission met the 8 men in prison on October 1st, after they were granted consular access. As you are aware, we have been in regular touch.
There are more questions than answers here. The most basic one being this. What were the charges against these 8 men? India's ambassador met them in person. So did the deputy chief of mission. They also had legal representation in court, which means the government of India knows what the charges are. So why not tell the public? The family says even they don't know what the charges are. So clearly there is something at play here. India's foreign minister called it a sensitive issue in parliament. Now that could mean a lot of things. You have 8 former military men, a dodgy defense firm, a late-night arrest, and a secretive trial with swift justice. So the word espionage has been thrown around a lot. Let's take a look at this report. It says these veterans were spying for Israel. Of course, this is unconfirmed, and right now it doesn't really help to speculate. So let's look at the options ahead. What can India do? India has had good relations with Qatar. The Emir visited India in 2015. Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a reciprocal visit in 2016. Minister Jaishankar has visited 3 times. 3 factors underpin this relationship, the India-Qatar relationship. One is the diaspora. Around 800,000 Indians live and work in Qatar. It's the largest expatriate community there. The second factor is trade. Bilateral trade is worth around $15 billion. Most of it is energy. And the third factor is defense. India and Qatar signed a defense pact in 2008. It was extended in the last decade. We've seen Indian warships deploy to Qatar. We've also seen joint exercises. So the relationship is largely solid. Yet this case has not been resolved. Reports say India invited the Emir to visit last year, but Doha has not responded yet. So it's a major diplomatic challenge for New Delhi now. It will require a lot of goodwill and political capital. And yes, some quiet diplomacy. Qatari law says the Emir can pardon convicts. And he usually does so on Qatar's National Day. And when is that? December 18th. So the resolution may have to come at the highest level now.